Tonight on KGW News.
It's the only beer that uses bear in the brewing process.
Bear droppings in beer? The local brands behind what seems like a Super Bowl related stunt, bringing one of the worst parts of the outdoors to the tap. Plus, how Portland's Rose Festival just made major changes to 3 of its main events.
We were looking at ways of cutting expenses, but without losing the DNA of who we are as an organization.
Then the first confirmation and in writing of the Fed's plan to open an ICE detention center on the coast. But first,
we want to see more fight.
As some Oregonians plead with their lawmakers to do more to rein in the Trump administration and its immigration crackdown. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Mulco, with senators in D.C. tonight, some vowing to withhold funding and partially shut down the government. Many representatives are back home and hearing from their constituents. Alma McCarty went to Forest Grove tonight for a well-attended town hall. Alma?
Yeah, David, this was for Representative Suzanne Bonamici, who both defended what she's been doing to try and stand up to the Trump administration while admitting that Democrats should find more ways to push back, especially when it comes to immigration enforcement.
What can we do and what can you do?
Questions and comments from constituents inside a Forest Grove auditorium Wednesday night.
We want to see more fight. We want to see everything legal, yes. And we need to see more media soundbites. We need to see more media attacks. We need to see more done in the communities.
I mean relentless. I mean aggressive. I mean daily. I mean using social media.
These appeals directed to Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici during her town hall.
I need to know today what you're willing to commit to. We are desperate and we are afraid, but we will not stop applying pressure.
Many of these requests concerning immigration enforcement, especially in the wake of Alex Preddy's death at the hands of federal agents in Minneapolis.
It is outrageous. It is heartbreaking. It is infuriating.
Representative Bonamici noting she already took a stand, voting against a funding package last week that includes billions for DHS.
My position is that this agency doesn't deserve another penny. They already were given way too much disproportionately.
That funding bill is now in the hands of the Senate, and many Democrats, including Senator Jeff Merkley, have vowed not to support it.
Well, it all stems from ICE being absolutely out of control, terrorizing communities across the country, abducting children off the street, shooting citizens dead, and all of that has to end. And that means there has to be a real debate over the Department of Homeland Security bill, so it can't be included with the other 5 spending bills.
Democrats in Congress are also pointing out other avenues that they are taking to, quote, rein in the current administration, including working on a bill at the federal level that would allow people to sue the feds when their rights are violated by ICE agents. David?
Yeah, with a similar effort already underway at the state level as well. Thanks, Alma. By the way, the funding bill Alma just mentioned could lead to a partial government shutdown if senators can't come to an agreement by midnight Friday into Saturday. Democrats say they want Homeland Security funding separated from 5 other funding bills waiting for a vote. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says Democrats have a list of demands. They include 1, stricter rules for ICE agents when it comes to arrest warrants, 2, a code of conduct around use of force, 3, a ban on wearing masks, and 4, a requirement to wear body cameras. While the White House does not support separating DHS funding from the broader package, the Senate Majority Leader, that's Senator John Thune, says there is still room to include some of what Democrats want.
The administration is willing to sit down with them and have a discussion, perhaps a negotiation about how do we move forward. But the one thing I do know, and that is that a government shutdown is not in anybody's interest.
On their own, Republicans do not have the votes to pass the package and keep the government open. New tonight from Minnesota, a new video gives us a look at an interaction the ICU nurse killed by federal agents had with the feds 11 days before he was shot. A representative for Alex Preddy's family confirming this is him from January 13th. You saw that video, shows him kicking a vehicle and busting its taillight before agents here tackle him to the ground. The video does not show what happens in the moments before that incident. Tonight, we are also learning more about the substance sprayed at Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar during a town hall last night. It turns out the man who rushed the podium here tried to hit her with apple cider vinegar moments after she called for Secretary Kristi Noem to resign and urged that ICE be abolished. That man was arrested, is now facing assault charges. Well, also on the immigration front, a new court filing for the first time confirms the feds explored building an ICE detention facility at the Newport airport. That is something local leaders believed was happening ever since the Coast Guard moved its rescue helicopter from Newport in October. The new document from a director for ICE confirms his office had begun to look at opening a temporary holding and processing facility at the airport, but that the Coast Guard at the beginning of December said the site was no longer available. The documents go on to say ICE has no plan to build an ICE facility at the property between now and this May, though we should note it does not say what could happen after that. All right, there is more here, a lot to get to. Tonight we learned the price tag after the White House sent troops to American cities. A new report from the Congressional Budget Office says sending the National Guard to 6 cities, including Portland, costs roughly $500 million so far and could top $1 billion by the end of the year. The CBO released the data after a request from Senator Jeff Merkley, who says Americans deserve to know how their tax dollars are being spent. President Trump says sending in troops was necessary to combat crime and, in his words, to support local law enforcement. Well, you can be sure we'll continue to follow new developments surrounding immigration enforcement as well as the funding bill in the Senate. Look for the latest anytime on KGW.com and on our free TV streaming app, KGW Plus. All right, to a live look over downtown Portland on this Wednesday night. A little refreshing where the rain has been falling on and off throughout the evening. Matt's here with the first check on your weather impact forecast. So any more headed our way?
Take a look at Seaside right now. It's raining pretty good out of the Oregon coast. Nice to see the waves coming on shore as well. So there is more rain coming out. It's 53 degrees at the beach. You look at Doppler radar, some heavier rain up over the coast range, and there is rain moving into the valley. The last time I was outside about a half an hour ago, there wasn't really any rain falling, but there will be overnight and into the morning hours. So yes, we are not done with the rain. It'll come and go. Now up in the mountain, there was new snow. Holding at 31 at Timberline, there was an inch of new snow. We'll take whatever we can get. Tomorrow, expect rain for the morning commute. It'll break up towards mid-morning, and by early afternoon, we should be done. Catch another break. Sunset now, 5:13 for tomorrow as the days continue to extend. So rain tomorrow, especially in the morning. Groundhog Day, sun or shadow? We'll discuss that. And then will we hit 60 degrees next week? It's a pretty good chance, David.
Oh, sounds like it could be controversial with that groundhog. Thanks, Matt. In tonight's other headlines now, there are warrants out tonight for the arrests of 2 security guards accused in connection with an assault on a MAX train. In October, police say passenger James Hahn was looking for a seat on the train near the Gateway Transit Center when he tried to pass a security guard in the aisle. That's when guard Edward Arndt allegedly forcefully bumped Hahn and then pushed him down the aisle. Another guard, Cruz Bost, is accused of jumping on Hahn's back and putting an arm around his neck. Bost is accused of strangulation, while Arndt faces a lesser charge. The passenger is also suing TriMet, but TriMet says the security guards were contracted through a third party and are no longer serving TriMet in any capacity. In Gresham tonight, police are asking for help finding a missing 12-year-old. Police say Caleb Paris left his home on Northeast Hogan Drive around 6 o'clock last night. He's 5'10", with curly brown hair and was last seen wearing black over-the-ear headphones. His family says they are concerned about Caleb's well-being because he had indicated he might harm himself. If you see him, immediately call 911. Also a reminder, if you or someone you know is struggling, help is available 24/7. Just call 988 to reach the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Again, that number is 988. Well, tonight, the Oregon Health Authority is reporting a second case of measles in Clackamas County and issuing a warning to those who may have been exposed. They say the person was at Kaiser Permanente Sunnyside Medical Center Emergency Department, specifically on Monday between 11:28 a.m. and 1:53 p.m. Anyone at the medical center during that time should contact a doctor and let them know they may have been exposed. And 2 districts across the Portland Metro are rolling back class time to deal with a wave of 6 students. Corbett will close all its campuses tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Colton School District, that's in Clackamas County, says Colton Elementary will be on a 3-hour delay to allow staff to clean the school. The district is asking parents with sick kids to report the illness no later than 8 a.m. so it can decide whether it needs to change its schedule even further. Okay, to some very big changes tonight coming to this year's Rose Festival as organizers revealed that two fan favorites, both parades, are essentially being combined. Catherine Cook's here to explain. Catherine, it sounds like they're trying to cut costs.
Well, that's one motive for sure, David. They're also just trying to create one bigger, better event overall. The combined Starlight and Grand Floral Parade will follow the same downtown route as last year while covering new ground around traditions.
The Starlight Parade has hung in the Rose Festival's constellation of events since 1976. The Grand Floral Parade since 1907. On Wednesday, the Portland Rose Festival Foundation ushered in a new era.
Welcome to the magic of the Care Oregon Grand Floral Starlight Parade.
The merging of the two historic parades into one.
We were looking at ways of cutting expenses, but without losing the DNA of who we are as an organization.
Board President Jeremy Emerson is excited for the change, something he says they'd been considering for years. The parade is set for the evening of June 6th and will feature around 130 entries, a contrast from the 85 or so entries in each of the parades last year. Folks sitting at the front of the route will get Grand Floral vibes, and then
there's going to be a moment that we then flip the proverbial switch, I would say, into the illuminated component where everybody gets to experience the kind of wild, zany side of the parade, right?
the Starlight Run will happen before the parade around 5:30. A little earlier than years past. Run producer Paula Harkin isn't worried.
I think that the runners are going to enjoy having it nice and light and you can see everything that's happening. So I think there's a lot of positives.
Also new this year, the Rosefest Street Mile, right before the Junior Parade, May 30th. That's a Saturday, moving it from Wednesday so more kids can attend. Attendance for all Rose Festival events is a key focus.
The success of our downtown is now more dependent on a thriving events and festival scene than ever before.
Portland Metro Chamber President Andrew Hone says last year, Saturday events during tourist season matched 2019 attendance. A huge sign of recovery, albeit a fragile one that Hone says hinges on the city's continued investment in safety and livability.
And then secondly, while we keep seeing visitors coming back, we know that these office buildings are still half full. And that is a much harder problem to solve for than getting people to come out to the amazing events that we just heard about today.
And those events bound to draw plenty of people, including a second fireworks display this Rose Festival, which is also new this year.
Oh, I bet these changes are going to have lots of opinions, or the people reacting to them should. Thanks, Catherine.